this show. I think we've been able to kind of just hone in on the local community a bit more and highlight those people, and they're going to have their friends that are going to be stoked on it. Whereas if you do a big name, it can be it could disappear into the ether sometimes, or, because they've done all the interviews,
Yeah, I think there's a sweet spot, isn't there, of like profile awareness of what you try to do and something interesting to talk about. They're usually the best. Like I just did one with a skater called Cairo Foster.
Yeah.
He's, like a legit big name in US skateboarding, like proper legit street skating legend. But he listens to it. He knew what it was. He knew what he almost knew the format, and what he brought to it was really brilliant, really generous.
Yeah.
He turned up like, I know what this is, and I'm gonna like act accordingly, which is a huge compliment, I felt. And we got on, and he had a really interesting thing to talk about. And, that was a great experience. I was like, this is, I even said this at the end of the episode. It's like, this is why I do this. This is a real privilege, to actually. So I think there's that sweet spot is worth remembering. But I don't think you can get all of those three things every week.
No, no, it's hard. It's hard. Let me ask you, or maybe we answer this together. Who's the worst guest you ever had on? Ready? Do you want to go there?
Well, it probably was Alex.
Al Nost.
It's such an interesting one though, isn't it? Like because I put that on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I still get comments about it. I still get people, because obviously he's like massive, and people are probably searching out Alex in Nost interview, whatever, and it'll come up. And I still get like pretty scathing fanboy comments, like, but when I look back on that one, I just almost feel I don't know, it just felt like he felt the need to act a role, like, rather than just be normal. And I just now look back and think, that fucking hell must be tiring, really. Like especially when it's just surfing.
Yeah.
You're a good surfer and you're a musician. Just great, like that's isn't that enough? Like there's a great Hemingway documentary. Have you seen that?
No, not yet. But because on BBC, right? We're waiting for it to be released here in the US.
Ken Burns.
Yes.
And and that is about like it's so good. I loved it. I kind of watch anything Ken Burns does, but it's about a man like basically getting overwhelmed by the image that he's created. Like eventually, and obviously I'm not saying it's the same thing, but when I look back on it, I just think it just must be tiring. Like to have to convey that much front the whole time.
It would be so distorting, like I imagine it becomes confusing almost. You don't know where you end and the persona begins, there's that kind of crossover eventually. Like I imagine like Chaz Smith, right? Like he has this kind of persona, and then he has like, I'm sure he's totally different in real life, and hanging out. But I think he's even struggled he struggles with those personas and his real life kind of merging. Yeah,
but I think he's somebody that handles it really, really well. Like I would count him as a friend now, and like I met him in California when I interviewed his wife, who I know through snowboarding. Yeah. So me and Circe like have a lot of friends in common. We had a rapport because of our shared background. And I met Chaz then. And obviously we were like, me and Owen were like, wow, Chaz is going to be there. What's Chaz going to be like?
Yeah.
Kind of expecting, like the capital C Chaz, and he was absolutely charming.
Totally.
And could not have been nicer. And then we stayed in touch. So then when I got him on the show,
yeah,
I thought that was really revealing, that episode, because he totally just was happy to admit that like balancing, I think I called it like the two sides of Chaz Smith or something, or like, you know, like the balancing Chaz and Charlie is actually quite a lot of work for him, you know? So I kind of think he does it really well.
Does.
But yeah,
it's a struggle though. It's a struggle. It's a lot of work, like you just said. It's not easy.
But I think with Alex, he was just quite nasty. He was actually just nasty to you, wasn't he? I think he was just actually a dickhead, wasn't he? You know, like
you said it.
Because I think I listened to that though, and it was just a bit mean, wasn't it? You know, it wasn't even like
it was an awkward situation. It was super awkward overall, and thank God Cassia was there to help lift it up a little bit, but and a few other people. But yeah, it was just he just didn't want to. He didn't want to do it. I think that was really it. I think Vans, you know, they're great, but they put him up to it, and I think he just didn't want to do it. And yeah, he probably looking at like, who are these kooks? You know, who's this guy? You know, and you know, I get it, but you know, it was difficult. It was challenging for sure, and I totally like felt like I did not do as good a job. Because maybe I wasn't as prepared, or maybe just didn't set it right, or just went in for the kill with like some more complex questions instead of warming him up too. You know, should have buttered him up and like fluffed him up a little bit.
But it's so rare, isn't it, that you come across that in what we do. You know, most people are just really nice, and that's what I mean when I say, you know, without going all COD psychology, like I just feel a bit bad for him, because I just think it's obviously rooted in insecurity.
Yeah.
And like, and like, I think you're probably right. And I think exactly what was going on in our case was he just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and rather than, and I just think he kind of lacked the tools to express that in a way that wasn't reverting to being a tool.
Yeah.
You know,
no, you know, it happens. Now, you just spent a couple days up at the Wave, correct? Up in Bristol?
I did, yeah. I've been there a lot recently.
How's that working for your surfing?
I mean, I'm a very average surfer, so it's great for me. And also where I surf is just fucking as bad as it gets, you know. You know, I surf, we're on the English Channel.
Yeah, you
so
hardly get
we just don't get
there.
we get like, yeah, we get 2 or 3 days of ground swell a year. Yeah. You know, the rest of it is just southwesterly wind swell, and it is like 5-second period, you know, 50-mile-an-hour gusts, like hiding behind a harbour wall to like, it's just, there's not a lineup, you know, where I surf. Yeah. It's basically like a maelstrom of shifting peaks. So it's more about the experience of getting in the sea, really, in the truest sense of the word. And if you get a wave, then it's great. And there's loads of really great surfers here who've grown up in those conditions and can read it, obviously, because people can do that, because you know, they can adapt to anything. So for me, the wave, like, I'll get 20 waves, and that's like 2 years worth of waves where I surf, like as in like decent waves. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, you know, the idea that like you could get an actual, we have that in the rest of the UK, like, of course we do, and in Europe it's really, but I don't get that where I am. So for somebody, you know, I'm probably like squarely like target market for that, really, you know. Like intermediate, came in late, don't have the kind of baggage of like, this isn't real surfing. I just don't really care about that stuff, you know. I just think that's happening and it's going to exist here, and real surfing is going to exist here, and that's fine, you know. But I can jump in the car, takes 3 hours, and I can get 20 waves, so I'm going to do that.
I just think it's like how skateboarding it'll be like skateboarding or snowboarding, where you have people who are in the park, some are do straight, some are do, you know, street, some will do, half pipe, vert, like it'll just be just one aspect of it, being in the pool. So I encourage it. I'm not opposed to it, and I'm not a anti wave pool. I think it's awesome, and I think it's a whole new avenue to explore.
And the thing is, right, it's really fun.
Yeah,
like let's not forget that. Like, like it's like the way it is just well done. I mean, I've definitely got friends that are sniffy about it.
Yeah,
I've got a couple of friends who've been and are like, fuck that, I'm not going back. It's too expensive. It's not the ocean. I get that. Like, fine, whatever. But for me and my little crushingly intermediate crew, it's great.
And it's good vibes from what I hear, just like everyone encouraging each other.
Yeah. It's much more of a skate park vibe because you have to queue up, so there's no snaking, there's no priority issues. Like that whole contentious element of surf culture, which we certainly don't need to talk about here, is removed. And you just literally take your place, wave comes, you get a wave. It's a very different experience. It does promote much more camaraderie.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the day when you see surfers lining the wall, smashing their boards against the wall like skaters, and then they're like, "Oh no, I dinged my board."
I mean, will it ever happen?
Well, I think it'll be more the people will be hitting on their boards instead if someone's going for a big trick or something. That could be kind of cool. I would love to see that. And what board are you currently riding, Matt?
I have got the ultimate hipster 7.6 CI mid.
My brother got it too. He loves it. He says it's phenomenal.
It's amazing. Yeah, I actually asked a friend of mine who's a really great surfer, and because I was going to get something shaped, and he was like, "Do you know what? Like, it's really good, and it would be great for your surfing." And so I was like, "All right, fuck it. I'm gonna take his advice," and it's been brilliant for me. He's like, they know what they're doing, those Channel Island boys, and it's been absolutely brilliant for me. Like it's really, I got it in January, so I've surfed it a lot in Brighton. I've surfed it a lot of the wave. I've surfed it a lot in decent British waves. Had a great trip to Wales end of May, Pembrokeshire. Which if you're listening
Wales.
and you ever get the opportunity to go to the UK and surf, then I would highly recommend Pembrokeshire. It's absolutely beautiful.
I love
loads of waves. Everyone's really nice.
I've been, but I haven't scored waves.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. So yeah, I've got the old CI. How about you?
What's that?
How about you? What board are you currently representing?
Currently, I got a local shaper, Joe Falcone. I waited 2 years for this board. But I had him replicate a Bob Mitzvin quad fish that I had for years, and I had him shape it down a little bit shorter in epoxy so it could be a little bit more shreddy. Been riding that. Been riding my Josh Hall Longfish a lot, twin keel, which I love, and I got a Faction board, which is also another local shaper, and had him do kind of his take on a Tom Curran kind of short, like one of his shorter boards, from the 80s. So the Red Beauty, it's his take on the Red Beauty. So yeah, a couple of those, and looking to shape a board in August actually with a friend of mine. So got a little rotation going on the quiver.
yeah. Because your brother's in England as well, right?
What's that?
Your brother's in England, right?
My brother lives there, and so I'm in New York, yeah. So, but yeah.
But your brother's over here, though, right? He's in the UK.
Yeah. So I go and visit every once in a while. Was going every year and going out to Cornwall, and I love surfing there. It's like my fave. I think,
nice.
I think personally, it's so underrated. UK surfing. I think it's a great destination to go surfing actually on a surf trip. And I think the UK does beach culture really well, like better than East Coast, of the US. You have the wonderful parking lots and you have your little shops where you can get